Real Nerds is a proud partner of the Denver Podcast Network. In the shadow of the mountains,
we speak. Coming to you from the X-Axis, it's John of All Trades with your host, John X.
Welcome to this John of All Trades podcast promo. Each Wednesday, I bring you a brand new interview with someone fascinating and ask the question we all ask when we meet someone new. Hey, what do you do? It's fun, informative, and it's the 2017 Westward Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Denver Podcast. iTunes, Stitcher, and johnofalltrades.us.
Oh, hi, podcast listeners. There's many ways you can listen to the Real Nerds podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe on Stitcher Radio. You want to send us a Twitter message? You can do that. It's so easy, at Real Nerds. Like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com, where there'll be a lot of articles for you to not only read, but to listen to our previous shows. You can also call us, 720-6nerds5. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Brian. No, this is my announcer voice, and you're listening to Real Nerds Podcast. Should I do this as my real self? Oh, shucky darn. Hi, this is Brian Cummings. You're listening to Real Nerds Podcast. Okay, do it straight. Hi, this is Brian Cummings, and actually you are listening to Real Nerds Podcast. Send money. And real estate.
Welcome to another Real Nerds Podcast interview from Denver Pop Culture Con 2019. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Real Nerds Podcast live on Denver Pop Culture Con 2019 floor with Seth again.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
How's it going?
I keep on almost saying Denver Comic Con every time I say it.
Because it's just the more colloquial accepted name for these types of things.
Yeah, it's, I get why they did it, but
yeah,
next year I'll be good.
Yeah,
I think
hopefully.
next year I'll be set. I didn't do it in any of my moderating yesterday, so I call that a win. I said Pop Culture Con to everyone. That's a win.
Oh, I thought you said you
no.
were going the other way.
That's my biggest fear going out there, not the thousands of people. It's, am I going to say Comic-Con or Pop Culture Con?
Yeah, just get all the litigation against you.
And I was able to bridge that gap. So we were just chatting before you sat down.
Right.
And you had an interesting idea.
Yeah, I asked you if you allowed for speculative discussion because, it sounds like you just talk about the movies that you have seen. And I wanted to, I guess, rant a little bit about the humanizing or dehumanizing of the Empire in Star Wars. And I wanted to see how open you were about talking about a Band of Brothers or Saving Private Ryan type movie set in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, yeah. I would always be down for something like that because I actually really like Rogue One, and I think it has the similar story. And for how big Star Wars, the universe is, it seems we get very focused stories on the Skywalkers or now, and I love them. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it'd be really cool to see an actual, galactic war. Or
yeah. I guess my deal is that I'm less worried about maybe the tactics or the grand overarching thing. I want to see a real personal, down to earth, small story based around the stormtroopers, because as evil as the Empire is, I guess, and how the rebels are supposed to be the central heroes and all that, I want to see some humanized stormtroopers having struggles and being beaten down into the mud and still being sympathetic towards them. A movie where, I don't know, we see one of the clones or one of the stormtroopers come around and really having a serious breakdown and seeing where this company goes off and does how they recoup from the fall of the Empire, really.
I think that's actually kind of interesting because, I think you're onto something because what's lost in these huge galactic wars when you're dealing with the major players is there's real dudes.
Yeah. Maybe brainwashed psychos, maybe, but they're still people. Every one of them still has their own individual identity.
I'm sure the Nazis thought they were good guys too, but it's.
Yeah.
It's. I think you're actually kind of onto something because it would be interesting to see just, hey, I'm a plumber on Tatooine and I got recruited for this war.
Yeah, Like there's a saying in the Marines that every Marine is a rifleman. No matter what your job is, if they say drop what you're doing, pick up a gun, you do that. And I want to see like a story like that where a raid goes horribly wrong in the Empire's direction, and all of a sudden their base is overrun, and this guy who's never shot in combat before is suddenly fending for himself out in the jungle or something. I think it'd be a cool idea. And like,
no, I think you're. Have you ever thought about maybe writing it out and pitching it?
A couple of times, yeah. But I mean, I'm a shit writer.
Well, so if you're a shit writer, what I would suggest, because on a much smaller scale, we've done a web series.
Yeah.
And I share co-writing on a couple of them, and I just do the ideas. I don't sit down and I don't write the dialogue. So basically I write an outline.
Yeah.
And so my outline is this happens, this happens, this happens, and it ends here. Now get us there.
Ooh.
And so what I would do is I would network out to my friends or someone you know who's a writer and say, I have this outline, however long you want the outline to be, the story beats you want hit, and then give it to them and say, flesh this out for me.
Yeah.
Because
take my skills and put some meat on it.
Exactly, because I'm not a writer either.
Yeah.
But I have ideas I think that are good.
Yeah.
And I can't flesh them out because I just don't think that way. So I write an outline, or Brad is our producer and a writer sometimes. I tell him, say, hey, this is my idea. You come up with the idea. I'll give you the potatoes. You give me the steak because because even if you're not a writer, you might surprise yourself. You might be a writer.
It's happened a couple times in high school, but I mean after that, like I've been nothing but weather and shit like that.
I tell everybody this piece of advice that I was given to the very first Comic-Con in Denver.
Right.
Michael Uslan is the executive producer of all things Batman. So all the movies, all the cartoons, all the TV shows, everything that has to do with film or TV right now and Batman, Michael Uslan. And he started with 1989 Batman. He came to the first Denver Comic-Con, and he wrote a book called The Kid Who Loved Batman.
Okay.
And he was at a signing beforehand, and I asked him if he'd be on my podcast, and that was before we are what we are today. And he said, absolutely. And he said, his next sentence to me, this is a 100% true story. He said, Ryan, by you just taking the step by asking me is you kicking the door in. The worst someone can sell you is no, or the worst thing you can do is not do it. And that was a piece of advice that some billionaire Hollywood producer gave me that I hold true, because what people might not know about him is he just went and asked Warner Brothers for the rights to Batman.
Really? That's it?
Yeah, he wrote a couple comics. Then he said, you haven't done anything with the Batman on TV or movies.
Right.
Give me the rights to make a Batman movie. And
I'll
okay.
pick the director and all this like that. They just gave it to him.
Just gave it to him. And so my advice to you, Seth, is if you want to write it, try writing it and see what comes, and you might discover something really cool about yourself.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, shoot, man. Thank you.
You got it.
The idea pitch that turned into a little bit of therapy. Thank you.
You know what? You never know what you're going to get on Real Nerds Podcast. I might make fun of you, or I might give you advice.
Oh, please make fun of me. That's where the criticism comes.
You're a guest. I'll make fun of the people that work on my podcast.
Yeah, fuck you. I'm joking.
The guy who just sits there and listens to me and doesn't say a word. Showed up yesterday with the wrong shirt.
Too. As he shrugs.
He just sits there, but he has a cool shirt. It's Chip and Dale today. We like it. Anything else you want to get off your chest?
No, that was just kind of the thing I've been juggling in my head for actually the past couple of years.
Really? So like I said, my advice to you is write it.
Yeah.
The worst someone can say to you is it's not good.
All right. Copyright Seth Cowan, 2019. Can't take it.
Yeah. So make sure you copyright it right now. Day in the life of a stormtrooper. But no, I think you're onto something. I think because as you're telling me the story, I can picture the grittiness in my head.
Yeah.
I can picture them storming a beach somewhere,
or like
on some planet.
It's got to be like, I want it to be visually stark, but at the same time diverse and critical enough that it is a real threat to the environment itself.
You could be onto something, and who knows? You write the story, give it to the people that write the books, and they might take and run with it. You never know.
Yeah.
That's my advice to everybody. Just do it.
Yeah, I just don't want another, what was it, Stormtrooper Zombies? That was an awful book. Sorry, author.
It's all right. Seth, thanks for coming by again.
All right.
And this has been Dr. Ryan Frost on Real Nerds Podcast.
This has been another Real Nerds Podcast interview from Denver Pop Culture Con 2019. See you next year.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Real Nerds Podcast. Real Nerds Podcast is a production of Nebulous Visions Multimedia. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill and Plan 9 Studios for our kick-ass theme song. Also, if you're in the Denver area and you're looking for a cool place to see movies, we see them at the Alamo Draft House in Littleton and now also in Sloan's Lake. Thank you to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics for supplying us with all our comic needs, especially you, Andrew. You know who you are. And a big shout out to James's mom. I'm giving you an electronic hug that you can feel through the airwaves. Thanks for listening, and have a nice day.